What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is LionHeartZ, and today we're going to be taking a look at the problems with Faze Clan. Now, this is a pretty popular topic floating around in the community right now, but we're going to laser focus in on a very specific aspect. Because while Faze, I think, have a lot of upside in the current pro meta, I think the one thing that's going to hold them back is going to be who is the opper for this team. Broky has been with Faze going all the way back to September of 2019. He was there when they won the major at Antwerp. He has been one of the best pieces on this roster at many different points throughout the many iterations over the last 5 years. But as it stands right now, 2024 was one of Broky's weakest years in his career, and he's unfortunately not seeming to turn the corner as we enter 2025. And with LionHeartZ as the new superstar presence instead of Rops, I think Broky is bordering on his last chance to prove himself in this roster. If Faze can't turn the corner soon, I think it's time for them to look elsewhere for someone to be in his position. So today, we're going to take a look at some of the issues with Broky, speculate on what maybe can happen for him to improve, and what Faze might have to do if that doesn't happen. Before we get started, make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as it helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. And before we get started, I would like to thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey, a CS2 trading website. You put in the skins that you want to trade, you select what you want, you use my code LionHeartZ for up to $5 off, or click the top link in the description, and boom, new drip.
Nice.
You can also use my code for a 35% deposit bonus if you want to buy with real money. And they have a free section with cool giveaways. So check the top link in the description, use my code to buy 15 Dragon Lores to let them know I sent you their way, and thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. Alright, so before we start breaking down some rounds from Cluj Napoca, let's talk a little bit about stats, because I think they tell a pretty straightforward tale. I was actually having a great conversation with Vu on Twitter, and before we get any further, I am not Vu. I know that may come as a shock to some of you guys, we just happen to sound the same, but no, not him. I have hair, trust me, he does not. Anyways, I was talking to him about it, and he pointed me to some very interesting stats. You see, Broky's opening attempt rate with the op has steadily gone down and is currently at one of the lowest points in his career since LionHeartZ has come back into the team. The aggressiveness that I think has defined Broky throughout his career seems to have tapered off a cliff, and I think it's really affecting his performance. Right now, over the last 3 months, he has a 15% opening attempt rate with the op. Now, bear in mind, those are attempts, that's not even success. But if you compare that to other, I would say, similar tiers of oppers, let's use Woxic and Wonderful as an example, because we kind of have this like three-headed monster at the top of opping in CS right now, where Zywoo, Munacy, and Shiro are kind of just ahead of everybody else. But Woxic, Wonderful, Broky, they're all very similarly skilled. But both players have noticeably higher attempt rates with the op in their hand. And there is a difference between CT side and T side, more on that in just a minute, but for right now, in general, both of those players are attempting openers far more often, and the op can be kind of a versatile tool, right? There are several schools of thought on how you should play the op, whether you're going to sit further back and anchor, hold a position, or you're going to be a dedicated opener. Regardless, the op is a swing point in many rounds. If your opper is playing too passive, it's going to hamstring how you approach both your CT side and T side setups. So I think this creates a few problems for Broky specifically, because if he's not attempting many openers, then it puts a lot stronger of an emphasis on his ability to hit shots late in the round. And the thing that's kind of always followed Broky throughout his career is his inconsistency. He's going to miss a ton of quote-unquote easy shots. He's going to sometimes just hit a blinder out of nowhere, because that is just the life cycle of Broky. He'll miss an obvious shot, then hit a ridiculous flick right after. So he needs to be engaging himself more within the system so he has more chances to take shots. That way if he misses, he has time to make up for it. He's also never really been an excellent rifler, so he needs to find impact somewhere. And right now it feels like he's been deprioritized within the system in Faze, where that's like self-inflicted, or he hasn't really found a new spot amongst LionHeartZ, kind of remains to be seen, but I would like to see him be more proactive again, just as a first step. The next step is something has to happen with Inferno. Now, I've said previously in other recaps that I think Faze should just like take a break from playing Inferno, maybe prioritize train a little more, because it's been a map that has just been failing them for like the last year. And Broky is terrible on Inferno. He has a sub 1 rating on Inferno for like the last like 6 months. He is awful on it. And I think it kind of exposes everything that he's kind of dealing with, because it's hard to be aggressive on Inferno. It's also hard in general to be an opper on Inferno, especially on the T side. There's not a lot of room on the T side for you to op, so you're stuck on the rifles. And Broky has not and will not be a good rifler, especially compared to other competition where, you know, like, wonderful, very serviceable rifler. Zaiwu is an amazing rifler, so is Munisi. He's very far behind the pack in that regard. We're looking at footage from the third place decider at Cluj versus Astralis, and Astralis, of course, are, even with all their issues, a great Inferno team in their own right, so that's a little bit of a caveat. Also, we don't know how hard the players were trying. Third place match is kind of a new thing. I don't know how checked in the players were. That always has to be said, though it does seem like the players were pretty invested in it, so I think it's still worth going over. And when you watch Broky play the CT side here on Inferno, he's doing like the same default damn near every round. He had the op for the majority of the half and failed to do basically anything with it. His rollout would always be from spawn, go out through the site, go into apps or watch boiler. He didn't a single time take a proactive mid pick. And yeah, you're not always going to go for the mid pick down Inferno. It's a very high risk play, but he never attempted it. He didn't attempt any kind of push down apartments to peek out window. He never rotated over to play B. He did the same exact thing every time. It was either hold in apps or hold boiler back towards the site. He never proactively changed his position, and that's going to contribute a lot to Faze being stagnant on the CT side. You have to play with positioning more. Teams are getting far too smart for you to run the same default 12 different times on a CT half. You need to vary up where your stars are located and respond to how the Ts are maneuvering. Something Kerrigan, I think, is capable of doing. He's one of the best mid-round callers of all time, so I want to see him embrace that and maneuver the stars a little bit more depending on how they feel. And honestly, I think all of these issues that Broky is exhibiting kind of get exacerbated on the Inferno T side especially. If you're just watching this footage in the background, this is just all the footage on 4x speed of Broky just not doing anything for several rounds while Faze fended off Astralis on match point. No kills, no even real damage done. He's just starting the round, throwing some utility, kind of hanging around bottom mid, and then the rounds are being won by the other players. He's not even involved in the action at all. There are no openers set up for him. There's no proactive picks towards banana or apartments. Broky basically could just not be here. Those nades could be just on the ground, and Faze would have the same impact in the rounds. It's really bizarre to see Broky this far back in the pack when he has historically, like I said, been one of the most aggressive in-your-face oppers in Tier 1. Since we're already here, let's switch over to the Ancient game from this series as well and take a look at something on a different map. Ancient's also been a map that Faze have been quite good on lately, but not in this game. Broky bottom fragged, going 9 and 15. Elise didn't do much better, granted, so there's a lot of other issues still, but we're focusing on Broky just for today. Let's take a look at some of these TPOVs. This is the first gun round after Faze lost the pistol round and the subsequent 4 spies after. Now obviously, with Ancient and Elise being on the team, you need to prioritize getting Elise out mid. So I'm not mad that Broky is sitting back and helping to facilitate that with flashes by Kerrigan. That's all fine. But we're going to have the issues as the round progresses. One, in this round in general, Faze, I think, make a mistake of overcommitting a lot of utility for very little gain. It's going to boil down to them trying to pinch into A with no real flash, smoke, or molly support to try and clear out any of the entrenched CTs. Now, they are playing man advantage as Rain gets the opener onto Yabby, and so they're working from a 5v4 position. So I think going for the A hit here makes a lot of sense. Broky's actually going to step up and end up being the entry here because Kerrigan's rotated around to A main. I think that's actually fine for Broky to be this far ahead in the pack. Unfortunately, with no nades to really support him, he's going to go for the fight for Stair and CT, miss the spray kind of badly, then try and readjust to Cadian, and it's going to result in Stair getting a multi with Cadian cleaning up behind him. The Faze attack is going to fall apart pretty much right after. So Broky, he missed the shot. He had a clean shot on Stair, just not very good rifle work. Also, Faze didn't really do him any favors with no real way to kind of tee him up for this entry. Skipping ahead a little bit, this is the first round that Broky's going to get the op in his hands, and he's going to set up for just a typical B entry. I like that Broky's going for the op entry on this round. He's going to get boosted up onto the boxes, going to go for the fight with Device over on long B, and he just whiffs. You know, he misses the shot, Device hits it. Not going to win all of your entries, but I do like that Broky went for it. He hasn't been going for them very often lately, so I'd rather him go for it and miss than play back and do nothing. Going to our next round, we're a little bit further into the game. Faze are defending against a kind of half-bot Astralis who are on the verge of being broke, and I like that they slow play this round. They don't over-prioritize pushing. They're trying to bait Astralis into trying to take some risks. They want to draw out whatever little utility they have, And admittedly, this is Broky, right? He has a good round here. He eventually hits the opener on Stair with like 30 seconds left on B, overtaking the peak a little bit. That's a great pick. It gives Faze the kind of onus to rotate and try and hit A off the back of Astralis, maybe over-rotating that. It nearly goes totally wrong as Device with the 5-7 and Donut gets a double kill, but Broky hits another good shot on him, shutting that down. And then with the Glock in his hand, Broky gets a third while pinched between the two remaining players before going down. Like, it's just a good round from Broky. Have to highlight some of the good when we're being so negative, right? And for the last round, let's take a look at this. This is towards the end of the first half, and it kind of has a little bit of everything that I think is going wrong right now. Where Broky doesn't have an AWP in his hands, they don't have the economy for it, he's stuck on the rifle, and he just sort of does nothing the entire round. He doesn't seem to put himself in a position to do anything. He sits further back in the pack, he's throwing a bunch of nades. He's just not really being proactive because I think he's not confident in his rifle play right now. If Broky had the AWP here, I think he would be trying to go for an opener or hold something, like not just kind of literally sit and wait next to Kerrigan to get ready for the late B hit. Like even Kerrigan is still going for the opener, being the first one up ramp, being that sacrificial piece, that role he likes to play. But Broky isn't really doing anything. He's being just kind of a support player. And he's an opper. Like support op is like the worst role in Counter-Strike. If you're going to be an opper, you need to be active and in the mix, and when you don't have the op in your hands, you still need to be a serviceable rifler, or you need to put yourself in a position to better benefit the team. But Broky has a lot of these rounds recently where he does nothing, and then they win the round, and he hasn't even really contributed to winning the round. It was almost like they were playing 4v5, with just someone there to throw extra nades. Anyways, let's end this video a little bit about talking about what might be next for Faze. I think that if Faze don't have a good result soon, and good would be like a very nice playoff run in my book, like they don't necessarily need to be making like a grand finals at Blast Lisbon, because obviously that's a very stacked field, but they need to look good consistently, and if they do bow out of the tournament, it can't be just getting crushed, because it feels like when Faze are losing lately, they're losing. They've now have had a lot of time to boot camp, they skipped EPL, so it's going to be a while till we see FaZe Clan play again. But if Broky is still like one of the worst performing players, I do think they need to consider swapping him out. They might keep him through this major cycle, which I think would make a lot of sense, but if we're still here going into next season in the fall and Broky is still on this lineup and not playing better, I think that would be a huge misstep. Because with Elysian Frozen, there is so much more firepower, proactivity, aggression on this team than there has been on FaZe in a very long time. And I have no doubt about Kerrigan's ability to make that work around his system. So you're going to have great rifling throughout the year, but Broky is going to continue to be a pain point in my honest opinion. If I was going to pick one player that would swap for Broky overnight, I would take Sunpius. Because you're not necessarily going to get like a top 5 or better opper right now on the open market, but Sunpius is on a heroic team that admittedly is a lot better than we all expected, but they're not world beaters, and Sunpius can be one of the best oppers in the world, and most importantly, in terms of synergy, I think his playstyle aligns with this FaZe team quite well. He's someone who plays a lot like a Device. His slow, steady, anchoring style of opping I think would be a very consistent cog in this machine, and if Broky continues to struggle, he would be the perfect replacement, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about Broky and FaZe Clan in the comments down below. I'll be down there reading as always. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe because it helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. Check the top link in the description to use my affiliate code on the website. Get all those bonus goodies. Thank you to SkinsMonkey. Shout out to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vander Vegt, and our 2 newest channel members, Flashbang and Snow Me White. If you want to become a channel member, you can do so with the link in the description down below. For $5 a month, you can support me directly, get your name at the end of the videos just like this, as well as a custom role in our community Discord. Thank you to our channel members. Follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. I'll see you guys soon with another video. Peace.